I take it you're here for training. First Aid 101? Not much time to get into it all, but we'll get you some pointers. How's that sound?
Hey everyone, welcome back to another Arma Reforger guide. This time I thought I'd do a video to help new players get acquainted with the medical system. Now before we jump in, I do just want to take a moment to thank everyone who's checked out my beginner's guide and navigation guide. It's been amazing to see the positive response, and I'm really glad that the effort that goes into these videos is being appreciated, by the most part anyway, and your support really means a lot. Just a quick reminder that whilst I'm here to share what I know, I am by no means an expert at Arma Reforger, and there's still so much that I'm learning myself. So if I do mention something that is slightly off, or you know a better way of approaching something, please feel free to share your knowledge in the comments. Don't be a dick about it, keep it constructive, there's no need to be rude. I always welcome feedback that helps improve the community, so please feel free to share your knowledge. So with that out of the way, let's get into today's video. One question that I've been getting a lot recently is about how the medical system works in Arma Reforger, so I thought I'd put together a very quick and simple first aid guide. Now this one is more aimed at brand new players and covers the very basics, so if you are an experienced player, this one might not be for you. Unlike other games, Arma Reforger isn't just as simple as giving your teammate a quick hit of morphine or slapping a bandage on them and hoping for the best. The medical system is a bit more complex, and it can certainly be overwhelming for new players. I've definitely been there myself. While there are modded servers out there, however, that offer more realistic medical systems like the ACE medical system, which involves things like smelling salts and CPR and monitoring pulse rates and heart rates, the vanilla version may seem intimidating at first, but it's really not that scary once you get the hang of it. So let's break things down by taking a look at the medical items we'll be using and what each one does. The first item in our inventory that most of us should be familiar with is the humble bandage. This is used to stop blood loss, and whilst applying a bandage can take a little bit of time, it's certainly essential for stopping blood loss once applied to the wound. Next up, we have something very similar called the tourniquet, and this can be a real lifesaver when there are multiple areas of blood loss, and it's much quicker to apply than the bandage, and is especially useful in urgent situations. We'll go into this in a bit more detail later on. After that, we have the saline solution, which is generally used to manage moderate to heavy blood loss and helps maintain a healthy fluid level within the body. This is crucial for survival as well. Finally, we have the morphine injector, and this can be used to manage pain, particularly in the case of broken bones, as well as also speeding up the recovery process and stabilising the player. So it's great that we know what equipment we have, but how do we actually use it and in what order? I tried to simulate a casualty pickup with my good friend Jedi Batman, but for some reason he either recovered too quickly because the injury was too mild, or he died instantly when I shot him. So after a lot of trial and error, I did my best to try and demonstrate how this works. When treating yourself, the game automatically prioritises the most serious injury, which is really helpful. But when treating other players, it's not always obvious as to which injury is the most critical. That's when time really becomes of the essence if you want to save them. When I go about saving other players, my first step is to inspect what kind of injuries they have. They might just be bleeding, or they may simply be knocked out, and this info really helps determine the best course of action. I like to do a quick once over to assess the situation, and I find it's best to start with the head, then move on to the chest and the abdomen, before finally checking the limbs. If there's a serious injury to the head, chest or abdomen, these areas cannot have a tourniquet applied to them, and they'll need to be bandaged. Typically, I personally try to bandage these areas first, as they're usually the most critical, though this isn't always the case. Sometimes it is more effective to focus on the limbs first, especially if there's heavy bleeding, and you can apply a tourniquet to the limbs much faster than a bandage, which doesn't necessarily stop the bleeding, but it will significantly slow it down. This then buys you time to bandage the head, chest or abdomen without losing too much blood from the limbs in the process. Where a player is bleeding from can be a case-by-case situation, so you'll need to be aware of where the blood is coming from in order to prioritise each injury. Once the bleeding is slowed down with the tourniquet, you can remove it one by one and replace it with a bandage. Keep in mind that if you leave a tourniquet on for too long, it won't stop the bleeding and it will impair the player's movement. Once we've successfully stopped the bleeding, the player will start to recover slowly on their own. You can speed this up by administering a morphine injection to help with recovery, and if they've suffered moderate to severe blood loss, follow up with a saline solution to stabilise their condition. Okay, to finish up, let's talk some final tips. In terms of loadouts, if you plan to play as a medic, here's what I recommend for your inventory. First off, grab the medical backpack to make sure you can carry all your supplies. For the essentials, I'd suggest taking 10 bandages, 10 tourniquets, 4 morphine, 2 saline, and 8 smokes. You'll need these for concealment to get to down friendlies. Other players may suggest taking a different loadout, but this is personally what I run with. And whilst the Geneva Convention makes it a war crime to harm a medic, I still highly recommend taking a weapon with you because, well, neither the AI or other players really give a shit about that rule. To prevent yourself from running out of equipment, be sure to search down friendlies first. By default, their medical items will be carried in the pants, and this saves you having to use your supplies up, and you can keep them for when you really need them or for yourself. And lastly, in Arma Reforger, you can build a medical tent during conflict mode. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure of all of its functions, but I believe it helps heal players with serious injuries faster, as well as providing cheaper or even free medical items for you to equip yourself with. I'm sure someone will correct me in the comments if I am wrong on any of this. However, the catch is that you can't build these medical tents until you reach the rank of Sergeant. However, a handy little trick that I found is to spawn an ambulance from a vehicle depot, and not only will this give you transport, but it will also provide you with the medical supplies that you need in the field. So, I hope that this basic guide has given you a clearer understanding of the medical system in Arma. While there are definitely more advanced techniques for medics out there, I do hope that this gives you a solid foundation to get you started. If you did find this video helpful, be sure to leave a like or comment to let me know. I hope to see you on the battlefield soon. As always, keep it crispy, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.